Hello, and welcome back to the other side of the coin, where we bring you perspectives that are opposite of what most of you probably see in your newsfeed, in your social media, or on the television. I am Jo Stutzman, your host.
And I am Casey Boyle, your other host.
And we are here to talk to you today about, well,
anything and everything that comes into our heads.
So, we said we wrapped up last week about the whole COVID jab, and I don't know. I just feel like there's still so much more. So
there's more and more stuff coming every day. There's something new. There's something that's being presented, like especially with the FDA leaks, the internal leakage with that, and especially about the aborted fetal cells. They're like, well, no, we don't want to talk about that. We don't know what they're going to do with that information. Like make an informed consent. Yeah.
Yes, that so you have the right to make an informed consent. So a couple of facts, just some questions to ask yourself. One thing that we absolutely know to be a fact is that they're calling it a vaccine. It is not a vaccine. Okay. First of all, I want to get that clear. It is an experimental drug. And if you listen at all to Karen Kingston, she used to be a Pfizer rep. She will tell you that it is a medical device that they're implanting. Okay. So those are some things that you can check out. And there's really, when people hear the word vaccine, they think, what was it initially implemented for was to inject it. And I know we've talked about this, a little bit of the actual virus.
It's either live or attenuated.
Right. Yeah. So to help your body, because as soon as something foreign comes into your body's soldiers, the white blood cells, remember, we talked about that last week, are going to attack that and build antibodies so that you don't get it the next time, or it's mild compared to this time, right? So when they create a vaccine, they used to take part of that live virus, or what was the other word you said?
Attenuated,
which means what?
It's like a piece of the virus itself. It's just not alive. Okay. It's a piece of it. Okay. It's the actual virus. It's not a coating like what you get in the mRNA. Like it's an actual piece of it, so that when your body comes in contact with it, the white blood cells and the memory T cells can fight against it, and they don't allow that illness, but now they have the memory of that strain or that virus or whatever it may be. I mean, you guys think for organ transplants, what do they have to do? They have to suppress your immune system in order to do an organ transplant so that your body doesn't reject it. So they're literally suppressing your T cells, your white blood cells, so that your body will reciprocate and allow the new donated organ.
That's excellent point. I never even thought about that. But yeah. So we are created amazingly. We have,
and that's the thing that a lot of people are forgetting. And I've heard the whole, well, God wouldn't give man to make these if God wasn't involved or a part of it, if these are life-saving. But that's just not true. God gave us our bodies and our immune systems and the way that we function, and we've made it how long before inoculation was even introduced? Which, if you look down that rabbit hole, that whole inoculation thing was not as easy or cut and dry. And there were so anti-vaxxers have been around since the beginning. Like they have been here ever since they started trying to introduce inoculation, ever since they tried to introduce vaccines. There have always been doctors, physicians, ordinary people like us that should still have a say, whether we went to school for doctors and being a physician or not. We still have our minds, our bodies. We are not stupid. We just don't have things that are a passion, like being a doctor. Maybe it's something else. But it drives me nuts when people say, well, are you a doctor? Are you a toxicologist? No, but I know how to read. I know how to comprehend. And so,
and you also know, let's not forget the ultimate guidance system that we have within each of us, right?
and our internal,
our intuition,
yeah.
or does it feel, you know, when you listen to something, that sounds a little fishy, I need to research that a little bit more. But when you hear something or read something, you're like, yeah, that makes total sense. Like, I get that.
Which that's how I felt for the longest time when it came to vaccines. I'm like, okay, I totally get where they're coming from. I can understand that. And so my kids are, except for my youngest one, they're all up to date with their vaccines. I'm a lucky one. They are lucky ones because they don't have the autism. You know, I guess there are some things that I do look at and I'm like, I wonder if that has something to do with it. But
until the little one gets a little older, you really have nothing to compare to, right?
Well, and that's not true either, because so I have 4 kids and my last 2 were both premature. Now, the third one, he was born at 29 weeks. Newest one was born at 25. Okay, so Micah was in the NICU for 2 months. Brantley was in the NICU for 4. Now, Micah had every single vaccine, including the Hep A, the heel prick, all that, before he was even supposed to be introduced into this world. Okay, I didn't know that. Now, the stark differences of how Brantley acts and his developmental status compared to Micah, and even now, Micah has cognitive issues. He has, the comprehension. Wonderful at math, not so much with the reading and all that. So he, even with Brantley physically, is where he is supposed to be, and he was denied every single vaccine that there was. So he was not introduced with the extra toxins.
Well, and plus you learned a lot from the time that you were pregnant with Micah till the time you were pregnant with Brantley, right?
Yes.
On how to take care of yourself. And so I'm sure there's things that you did for yourself that in turn influenced the health of Brantley as well.
And with Brantley, I also feel too, because when I was pregnant with Micah, I was really, really stressed out with financial relationship. I mean, it was a conglomerate of everything. Yeah. And with Brantley, I was in a much better place. And so I wasn't as stressed out, but I also had been practicing, internal growth and being able to allow yourself to feel, because that's, one thing I've been seeing a lot of is people that are suppressing what they feel, and then they're never able to get past it, and they're never able to actually, all they're doing is trapping that emotion.
Yeah.
And then it, snowballs into more. And like we said in the last show, it all starts in your ethereal body. And when it doesn't get processed, it doesn't actually get worked through, it gets stuck. And then you push it deeper into the physical body, where it manifests into cancer or into PTSD or into depression, anxiety, high blood pressure, insomnia. I mean, it really is all of it. So, that's one thing that I think was also a difference, was my mental state of health with this last one. And I honestly think that it really does, because he is the most chill baby ever. Unless he is hungry or he is tired, he is the happiest little man ever.
Makes a huge difference.
It really does. So every little thing that we do is going to affect us, either in small or large accounts. So,
and the higher we can keep our frequency, our vibe, if you will,
yes,
the healthier we're going to be. Literally, that's how it translates. And weren't really planning to talk about all that today.
This is one of our things. We just talk about whatever.
So I was discussing with someone the other day about how I I'm pretty sure that I had what they're calling COVID. Okay, here was the other thing. Let me go back a little bit because we were talking about when they make a vaccine, they're taking part of the live virus to make it, right? Well, but here's the thing. They have not been able to prove that SARS-CoV-2 exists.
They haven't been able to isolate
it. In court, they have not been able to come forward with that information. So if you can't, now don't get me wrong, I totally do believe that there is something going on. I feel like it's a man-made.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because they're having people get upper respiratory.
Actually, just seen an article. No, I think it was somebody was showing. I think it was either Newsmax or OAN, but they were showing through their phone. On the bottom they have like those news scrolls, and it was saying that I think it was FDA or the CDC, but they have now admitted that they haven't been able to isolate the virus. And so
how are you going to make a vaccine, remember,
with the code now, genetically or computer generated code, mind you?
But that's what a vaccine is it has part of the virus in it. Well, if you can't prove
supposed to be
right, so if you can't prove that exists, they can't isolate it. How are you going to have it in a vaccine?
Yeah, which goes to show that they know they have not had it, because or else people would not be getting as sick and dying, because the vaccinated are the ones that are at a higher risk right now of getting COVID, getting seriously ill, and dying. I mean, you can go on Facebook and like we're talking about ABC News, local news stations that are, totally backfired. I know some of you have seen those, because most of the people I know somebody who was double jabbed and they still died of corona.
Or died with it, but probably not because of it.
Yes.
More likely a blood clot or some other.
But even then, how do we know it's actually what it was that caused it?
Right. Yeah, true. Because they manipulate. And that's the other point that I was going to make was whenever we talk, I find that whenever I have a conversation with somebody about vaccines, even if they're not hip on the current one that's being so politicized, they still always go back to, well, what about polio? Because that saved the world.
No, it didn't. No, it didn't.
Question everything. No. Okay. People were literally hired to rewrite history back in the 1800s. So why would you
history
think
was written by the victor?
Yeah. So why would you think that anything, Google especially, is horrible for trying to find accurate information? The best account is when you can, let's think about it. If you go through an experience, whatever, I don't know, just pick something, but you go through something, let's say a car accident. Okay. And I hear it from somebody else. Oh, Casey was in this car accident. Here's what happened. Well, did you see it? No. Well, then how do you know? Well, this is what I heard from this person. But it's not until I talk to you who actually experienced it, or an eyewitness, somebody that was there and witnessed it, that I would get an accurate account. Right. So think about history and how, anyway, it's been manipulated and changed and rewritten.
Extremely so.
Parts taken out. So,
because in my eyes, omitted is still lying.
Absolutely, because you're not getting the full picture. Yeah. So if you think about, so talking about the polio vaccine specifically, what do you want to say about that?
Well, for one, polio, okay, we remember talking about DDT, and where they actually had commercials like, this is the government. Now you got to remember, back in the day, they were advertising cigarettes for pregnant women, saying this is recommended by your doctor. And then they had the whole DDTs for me, and they would actually spray kids. You have their pictures of them actually like big old white smoke, and they're spraying these kids. They're spraying them. It's like a pesticide or an herbicide, but between that and if you look at throughout history, when they were trying to enact like Wi-Fi or, stronger electrical signals like they're doing right now with 5G, which one of the first places to open and enact 5G was Wuhan, and then Spain, and then Italy. Wow, the top 3 most hit hard from the coronavirus, from SARS-CoV-2. So DDT, that was causing neurological issues. Now, if you didn't know, today polio is still around, except it's renamed as Guillain-Barré syndrome, which is what one of the number 1 adverse reactions of vaccines, and especially this one, is neurological. So, and then you also remember the picture of you had all the iron lungs in one spot. Those were all from all over the country that they brought in, and it was literally a picture conglomerate.
So kind of like
scare.
What they're doing now with taking a picture and saying it's from New York hospital and it's actually from Italy, that kind of thing, and then recirculating that same picture like
pretty much
a year later.
Yep. Because even then, like once they stopped doing the DDT, and from what I have read, DDT was the main culprit. Once DDT
of what? Polio?
Yeah, of polio.
Okay.
And once they, government was like, okay, I guess we can't do this anymore. If you look at the correlation, the numbers of polio dropped, and so did everything else. The DDT,
it was already on its way down.
It was already,
but they had to come in again, manipulating a news story to say, "Oh, polio saved the day."
And there's a lot more to the story. I really wish that my memory was better, but it's a long story, especially in the production of it,
of the polio
vaccine. That
it had cancer cells in it, right? Or cancer causing
which
agents
every single vaccine does.
Yes, that's true.
And if you want to, a lot of people will say, correlation does not equal causation, but then why do we use statistics? Why do we use, all those, now they're saying in the fall, we better watch your children because they might come down with neurological issues and seizures and shit. And I'm like, how can you predict that? Unless just like with this whole COVID thing, and they predicted this. How do they predict something like this? Come on.
Here's the thing, when you connect the dots and it makes sense, you can't really call it a conspiracy.
Yeah, and especially a lot of people are connecting the dots, doing their own research, not even talking to each other, but they have come to the conclusion as the next person has. Like, we don't research together.
Right. Yeah.
But we come together and we're like, hey, did you hear about this? Yeah. Did you know about this? No, I didn't. Oh, I'm going to go look that up. Because she says something, I'm like, oh yeah, let me go look. I say something, she's like, yeah, I'm going to, double check that, because it's not that we don't trust each other and we don't believe each other. We just have to see it. It's a different kind of absorption of information. Just like, now I don't even waste my time with people online. I'm like, look, you don't have to believe me. You go look for it yourself.
Yeah. And that reminds me of something I read the other day, and I almost shared it, but I didn't, because I did not take the time to research it
there's been a lot
and make sure I believe it, because my intuition tells me it's correct, and I've heard other things that would back it up. That we have, this is completely off topic, that we have more oil in the United States than any other country.
Really?
There's so much oil here that it's insanely ridiculous. Like, we're talking that you could go down to $16 a barrel.
Trump was trying to do that with the pipeline.
So my point is that I did, there was a link and I clicked on it, but I didn't
indulge in the whole thing,
to be able to find where it specifically stated that. So I didn't share it.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying that it's not true. I'm quite certain that it is, but since I didn't have time to do the research, I
would not doubt it. Yeah.
Well,
I mean, I think too, because and I don't even know if this is a real memory, but I swear when I was younger, they said that most of the like fossils and dinosaurs. We have a lot of that over here in North America. North and Central America, I think they were saying that we actually had, we haven't even close to discovered like all the fossils and this and that, which that's a whole nother topic.
Yeah. So anyway, so back to this, I was having this conversation the other day and I said, I'm pretty sure that I had whatever this thing that they're calling SARS-2 is. I had a respiratory condition back in 2019, in December of 2019. And it lasted off and on for a couple of weeks. I didn't have severe symptoms because I do a lot of preventative maintenance, essential oils and whole food supplements. But it was annoying, and I can't stand feeling less than 100%. Right. But I did lose my sense of taste and smell for a little bit. Okay. And so I was talking to this gal. Well, I recently got an upper respiratory thing again. And I again lost my sense of taste and smell. It was much worse this time. It was I had the fatigue. It was really weird. Like I was exhausted.
Yeah. And that's what they say was one of the biggest things that like literally will wipe you out.
Yeah. So I said, my theory is, because when I was thinking about going to this event that I wanted to go to, and I was like, well, what if I get sick again? I had that fear, right? And I couldn't even think past it.
Yeah.
And then it hit me one day. I was like, Joe, you just upgraded your immune system. You are never going to get it that bad again because you had it horribly, but now your body knows what it is
naturally
and knows how to fight it again. And so this person said to me, she said, well, that doesn't really make sense. If you think that you had it in 2019, but then you just got it again recently, you just said you'd never get it again. It's bad. And I said, well, here's my theory. It's totally like, I don't know, I can't really prove it. My theory is that what they're calling the Delta variant is actually caused by all the vaccinated people that have gotten vaccinated with the COVID jab. It's putting off these spike proteins, right? So I said, in my opinion, that's what I had this time, because it was right after I was around a whole bunch of people. I know that I was around vaccinated people. I was in airports. I was traveling, all this, right? My opinion is what I had the second time was actually from the vaccinated people. And she's like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So again, just applying some critical thinking instead of just accepting, I mean, how can you have a variant of something you haven't proved exists?
Golly, I know. And I mean, they've been planning this for a while, so they've done good.
Yeah.
They've done good, because I mean, there are still people, I'm like, how are you not? I mean, just with all the information that's coming out, and even from the top advisor for Pfizer, or the former Pfizer employees. And what was her name?
Karen Kingston.
Yes.
Karen Kingston.
And they will still say, I don't believe her.
But there's so many people that are saying the same thing.
And that's what's crazy to me, is that there are when you hear people saying, well, you need to listen to the scientists and the doctors and this and that, I'm like, but I am.
Yeah.
They're just not the same ones that you choose to listen to, or they're not the same ones that are being paid by Soros and Rockefeller and, our mainstream media, and they're not being bought out.
Follow the money.
The people that I listen to have a lot to lose.
Yeah. And a lot of them are being censored, or
they're being vilified. I mean, they're losing their licenses. They're losing their credibility to whom? The wrong people, obviously, but they are being shuttered out of society for warning us when they have their career, their livelihood to lose. All that hard work to going to doctoral school and getting their PhD and doing for years, working as a doctor. Never once have they ever been told you're doing it wrong, or you're lying, you're giving out misinformation. But now all of a sudden they're bad doctors. Why?
And this is what I learned the other. I read it's like a resignation letter from a nurse, and she addressed it specifically to her employer.
Mhm.
And in the letter, she says that basically the reason that they were pushing the vaccine mandate with the nurses was because if they didn't, their hospital, their center would not receive funding for Medicaid and Medicare anymore. So again,
like we've been
follow
saying,
the money.
the money.
It's always, so if there's a doctor that's saying this is safe, you should get it for your kids, you need to really look at why are they saying that? What do they have to gain?
Okay, so that reminds me. So now I think we've mentioned this before. So they use media and they use movies and shows to, manipulate and to what is it? Subliminal messaging and stuff, grooming.
Yep.
So my son Brantley, he was playing on the bed and I was getting dressed and he pressed the Hulu button on our remote. And he just started pressing buttons. Well, whatever. I don't care. I wasn't watching anything. And he ended up turning on this show. So, Eyebrows is a guy from, what was it? Just Go With It. I think that's what it was, with Adam Sandler and Jennifer Aniston. I think Jennifer Aniston. So the guy that played Eyebrows, I call him Eyebrows. Okay. Well, he turned out to be a really good looking guy. Anyway, so he's in that show. And the one scene that I saw, now I was so busy and he pressed another button before I could find out what show it was, but I'll be able to find it. They were in on a pharmaceutical meeting. Okay. And he was like, this doesn't sound right. And he was talking to one of the other consultants and she's like, dude, we're here to make money. We're not here to care about what it does. We're not here. It was just like, it was mind blowing because it's like, this is how it actually goes. People don't just like make this stuff up, like movies and shit like that. Like it has to originate from somewhere. It's not just like an idea that pops into somebody's head and then they recreate this whole conversation. This is shit that really does happen. And the more and more that people will be like, accept it because of research and because of common sense and critical thinking, then the sooner we can move past this, because the pharmaceutical companies own everything. Doctors, lawyers, scientists, politicians,
pension plans,
insurance companies.
I heard this the other day, yesterday, I think, and I don't remember which state. I'm sure it doesn't really matter, but so people are retiring so they didn't have to get the jab, right? But now they're threatening their benefits.
Yeah, their pension
if they don't get, because guess what?
I just
guess who sponsors or who's part of the pension plan? Pfizer.
Which Pfizer's literally everywhere. It really is. It's really, really shitty of how deep. And Pfizer itself, yes. And then you start getting into the individuals that are working within Pfizer and who they invest in, who's investing in them,
or who they're married to.
and who they're married. Yeah. Let's not go into the inner workings of that. Fauci.
Isn't his wife
the NIH? Oh, what is she?
Either on the board or CEO or something like that. She's got a pretty high up position anyway. So interesting. Yeah.
So there's connections everywhere. Once you start seeing it, it's really hard to unsee it, and it's really hard to go backwards. Actually, you can't go backwards. I've tried doing the whole like, okay, you know what? I just don't care. I don't want to care anymore. It doesn't work. That's not my path, obviously.
And I would say this too, that because we are all about the other side. So fear is what's being promoted
absolutely
right now, right? In the mainstream and on social media. You're not going to get where you want to get to by being fearful.
Nope.
It literally shuts down that cognitive reasoning part of the brain, and you either freeze or
forefront of your brain just goes. It just stops because it literally puts you into fight or flight.
Yep. And so if you can start asking some questions, but also just focus on things that make you feel good.
Mhm.
We talked about listening to music and eating good food, putting things into your body that are nutritionally beneficial. Um, Essential oils, those are a huge part of my life.
Big part.
Because they work on a cellular level.
Yep.
They literally change DNA.
Yep.
And they're also very uplifting mood for the mood, and
They
to
can
help
be
you get
grounding.
into
Yep.
into a better state. So I think that being informed about the things that you can do that are beneficial, and then think about best case scenario. We were raised to think of everything worst case scenario. What if this happens?
Yeah.
And here's the thing, your brain doesn't know the difference between what you're actually experiencing
Yeah.
physically right now and an event that you create in your mind of a what if, right?
And there have been plenty of studies of those.
Tons. So the more that you can think, because I always just naturally used to think that way because of how we were brought up.
Yeah.
And it takes some effort.
It takes a lot of effort. Oh boy, because when I first started, they were like, take 3 days and pay attention to every thought that comes into your head. Boy, by the end of the 24 hours, I was mentally exhausted. I mean, I was smoke checked because I was like, holy crap. I think I'm usually a pretty upbeat person. I did not realize how negative I was, and especially towards myself. So, I mean, it's just something to really pay attention to.
It is. And you, because we think the same thoughts over and over again. What is it, like 95% of our thoughts are just repeat?
Yeah, pretty much. And then we have like over 1 million thoughts a day. It's some astronomical number of how many thoughts a day that we have. But our brain, our subconscious will filter a lot of that out. But you got to think your subconscious is a recorder, and it records everything, every face, every smell, every thought, every action, everything. You will never remember half of it, but it's in there. The problem is being able to access it. And the problem also is the fact that the government has, been trying to pineal gland calcify it. Without that, you don't have that access to higher source or to God or the universe. So that's another thing, like with the whole fluoride. Stay away.
And the things that are in our food and
oh my gosh, I mean, we can't even sell our American bread to an European country because they don't allow those chemicals in their country. What does that say? Just like I told my boss, I was like, well, yeah, you may have a gluten celiac, whatever it may be. But I bet you if you were to start ordering bread internationally, like from Europe, somewhere in Europe, and you were to eat that, you wouldn't have the same problems because
it's not actually about the gluten, it's about the chemicals.
It's the glyphosate.
Yeah.
It's the toxic chemicals that on a cellular level in your gut microbiome, which that is literally linked to everything, is your gut, your vagus nerve. It's another thing. Don't forget about the vagus nerve.
So what are some things that, because I know we just made it sound like you can't eat anything. I will tell you, the best thing that you can do if you have a local farmers market, if you have local farmers. So here we're really blessed to have a gentleman that goes and purchases from the Amish growers. And then he has a little stand that he sells things at. So anything seasonal, he has these giant squash right now. They're huge. $2.
Spaghetti squash.
$2 for a squash.
Really?
And yeah. And I mean, I don't know what it was like the ground that it was raised on, but what I do know is that squash was not on a truck for 3,000 miles. It didn't come from another country. It wasn't, produced in some factory.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
It came from here locally.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and the Amish don't use none of that glyphosate and stuff. So, I mean, the best way to get good food is local, and beef fed. And I just, I hate that it costs so much to
That's
be able to
also,
do that.
that's also on purpose that.
Oh,
that-
yeah.
That healthy foods are,
I mean, if it's cheaply made,
yeah,
you know,
that healthy foods usually cost you more in the grocery store, but there are some things. Start reaching out, start looking wherever you're at. There has to be a local farmer somewhere in your
Yeah.
area.
well, now they even have like subscriptions, like the Butcher Box.
Mhm.
I think it's called the Butcher Box, and they actually have, it's something I'm going to be looking into. But they, beef or grass fed, and
Oh,
no,
yeah.
and not grain fed.
Yeah.
I mean, that's another thing that I thought it was funny was they're talking about, climate change and because of cows and agriculture and stuff like that. It's like, well, they do that and they create that methane because they're being grain fed. They're not being fed by grass, their natural diet. They're being grain fed. And so that grain is actually causing bloating and methane gas. And then what do they do? They poof it out. And so, I mean, it's just nothing is ever cut and dry, and nothing is ever the truth.
Yeah.
They don't tell you the truth ever. It boggles my mind.
A lot of the grain that is raised in the US is actually, I don't think hardly any of it goes to actual food. It's goes
No.
to clothing and
Yeah.
it's utilized for all these other things. So there's a different way. There's another way. There's a lot of people that are using another way. You
Mhm.
can grow a lot of things. Even if you just have a small backyard, it does not take much to grow your own food. There's a lot of things that are edible that people, I just learned the other day that
herbs.
marigolds are edible.
Yes.
I went out and picked
marigolds are so good for repelling mosquitoes.
Oh, really?
Yep.
That must be why I haven't hardly had mosquitoes
Yep.
back here. So I have marigolds planted in my flower bed. So I went and grabbed just one flower and I pieced it up in my salad the other day.
Nice. Right?
It adds a pop of color.
Yeah.
And
Did you taste the
it
difference?
didn't really, I mean, a little bit, but it was very mild.
Yeah.
Like it was good. Now, do I know what all is in the groundwater in my backyard? I know there's probably chemicals, right?
And so you can't escape it.
No,
We just
but-
got to make it intentional choices.
right, and just do the best that we can with what we have,
Mhm.
and bless everything before you eat it, because your thoughts, your
Oh,
intentions about what you're
yes.
eating, if you're like, oh, this is horrible for me and it's going to make me sick, and it probably is,
Yep.
because intention is everything. Everything's energy.
Everything.
And so if you can just really start being intentional, start being self-aware of those thoughts and be intentional with your, what do you want to have happen?
Mhm.
Oh my gosh, this will I want to go to this event, but it'll probably rain. Why would you think that way? No. What do you want from the event? I want to go to this event and I want to have fun. I want to connect with other people and just have a really good time and whatever. Like, it's not that hard to just shift that a little bit, right? The other side of the coin. And think about what you do want instead of, what could possibly happen. Because,
right? Or the how and when and why.
Mhm.
Like, that was one of the first things I'm still getting used to, because I hate to admit it, but I'm a mom of 4 and I have control issues when it comes to like, I need things to be a certain way. I need it to I like checklists. I'm a type A personality still. That's my daughter. She agrees. But that's one of the things that, trying to be intentional and yeah,
we have control. We have the power.
very much so.
Really, it doesn't need to come from outside of you. In fact, if it does, it's not empowerment at all.
Mm-mm. You can always tell the difference.
Yeah, we have everything that we need within us
Mhm.
to live a happy, healthy life.
I agree. That is very, very, very much true.
Okay. One last thing, because I just learned about this last week. Did you know that Facebook is rebranding?
I heard they were changing its name.
Metaverse.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my.
Metaverse.
I know, ew. I like the Facey bookie. Like, Well, you know what? After being, banned off of there as many times as I have, I really don't get on there very often.
Well, and they're selling these glasses that you can wear. That
Oh
are like,
yeah, you can take a
code-
picture, you can take videos, you don't have to take out your phone. Like, so yeah, so that's just going to be an easy way to literally have people consent to being watched all the time. All the time. They purchased those glasses. They knew that it was a recording device. They just didn't disclose that it's being sent and transmitted to a file in government or Facebook to use against you, to use against the people.
It's literally recording everything.
Everything. You don't have to put your finger on there. Just like the laptop. Why do you think even when it's not on, people put a Post-it note or something to cover the camera?
Yeah.
Because they have access to look at you, even if it's not on. So
if you have a smart TV, you should probably do the same thing.
Yeah.
Except you probably have a camera in your home because you have, one of the security systems.
Luckily, I don't do anything. But at the same, it's that privacy.
It is. And being aware. I refuse to have one of those. And I have an iPhone. Okay. So I have Siri. It's not activated, but
when I'm looking, I'm like looking to the side so that it doesn't do that biometric, scan of my face.
But I refuse to get an Alexa or those home, I nope.
No, my mom got me one of those. And like she got me the Google Home, and I think it's the Alexa that she got. And I really don't use it very often.
My truck has that capability, and I did not set it up.
No.
It's all under the guise of convenience.
Yes.
And safety. Have you ever noticed that everything is about safety? Supposedly, I see that a lot in our we have a trucking company, and I see that a lot in the rules and regulations for trucking, for transportation. It's under the guise of safety, but it's actually to control people.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, this is kind of got some news.
At least
some updates on news you probably don't hear. So you've heard about like food shortage and so what we have noticed, this is actual fact, because I have experienced it, right? So our driver in the past week or two, when she went to pick up a load, the full load was not there. It was not available. So she had to leave with a half a load. So I'm just saying that some of that shortage stuff that you hear is not just hype, it's actual fact.
Yeah.
Because and think about the cost of that. Now, if you're taking a half of a trailer versus a full trailer, but you're still paying the same rate.
Yeah.
So that's why some things are higher. I'm sure everybody has noticed the cost of goods have increased in the stores and stuff.
Yep.
I'm not saying that that's the whole and complete reason. I think a lot of it is manipulation and price gouging.
Yep.
Not on our end.
No.
But the retailers have figured out how to make a buck. So there's that.
Well, and then I also heard because of that, like all those cargo ships that are waiting. It was some sort of EO executive order that Trump had done, I think back in 2018. And it pretty much, so all those people from all these different other countries, it's because they have been they're in some way, shape or form, they have been involved in collusion against the United States.
Really?
And so because of that, and the country that they are coming from, they're not allowed to trade with the US right now. So how much of that, I've heard a few things of that.
I've heard that there's not dock workers.
I've heard all kinds of things. Like, we just don't have the workers, we don't have the truckers, we don't have this and that. And I hate to say it, but you can go on TikTok and you're going to find better news than you are anywhere else. Because these are real people taking real footage of what's going on.
That's true.
There was at one port, I don't remember exactly where it was, but there's this guy. He's going around. He's like, you see all these trucks? Do you see those cranes? Do you see that? Like, it's all there. We're waiting. we're all sitting here. We're all waiting to pick up our shipments and be on our way, but they will not let us.
And a lot of that, I heard about that.
I want to know who they are.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I saw that a trucker, I think it was on TikTok, where he said this supposed lumber shortage,
Yep.
you know, that's not a real thing. There's tons of lumber.
Yep.
They're just not releasing it to be,
Yep.
because guess what? Because if you can get someone to pay $20 for something that they used to pay 10 for,
Yep.
why would you stop doing that?
Yep.
Lots of money in your pocket, right?
And then the more and more you keep up with that, the more and more that just starts to become the norm.
Right. And as long as people keep purchasing, it's going to keep happening.
Yep.
So stop buying from Amazon.
Yeah.
They're not,
I'm sorry, but I'm not going to
On
support
the
some
good
little
side.
dickwad going up into space in a penis ship so that he can tout the money that he's made from us, we the people. And yet all the shit going on, all the children that are being trafficked, all the people that are going without food, our school systems and their lunch system. I mean, he's worried about chasing his dream to just see the outside of the earth.
well, even beyond that, the corruption.
Oh my God. Wow.
I mean, that's my biggest thing why I wouldn't want to support. And I'm not gonna lie, I've purchased off of Amazon. We all have.
I like convenience too. I am human.
But what I will tell you is I have not been to a Walmart in
Nope.
probably months now. I support local and small business whenever possible. And does that cost me sometimes? It absolutely does. I paid an extra like 15 cents a gallon to fill my truck the other day by going somewhere other than Walmart.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just refuse. But if you break it down on 10
Kroger.
gallon, that's $1.50, right?
Yeah.
But I had to drive out of my way. I went, you know what I'm saying? Like it was
Right.
inconvenient, but guess what? That's the only way that we're going to make a difference here is by not supporting these huge corporations that are pushing all these mandates and all this other kind of crap.
Yeah, you know, the rules for thee, but not for me.
Yeah.
You know, they're at the Met Gala, no mask, you know, I mean, they're at these political sites, no mask, but as soon as the camera comes on, then they're scurrying to put their mask on to put up a front to us. I mean, and then you see pictures of like the new governor of New York with her entourage with school children sitting in front of them or standing in front of them. The politicians have no mask, but every single child standing in front of them do. But that's okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
the point that we're trying to make is support your small local people as much as possible. I'm sure that you have friends that are in network marketing businesses. Support them.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not going to say all, but most network marketing businesses are legit and they're honest and they really do want to provide good products and services to people. So support those people. Is it going to be a little inconvenient? Sure. Instead of going to Amazon and buying 10 things from Amazon, you might have to go to 5 different people or 3 different people.
I've had to do that with my grocery shopping. Like, not just with the price aspect of it, but from like getting the free range eggs, going to local for that. You know, trying to go find a butcher. We've been going to the butcher and it's honestly cheaper.
Yeah. Hey, I can hook you up with some of that. We're getting part of the cow butchered.
I want to do that.
I mean, I'm happy to, just sell off part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah.
Neighbors helping neighbors.
That's right. And we do have an amazing butcher, Hampton Meats over in Hopkins.
That's who I go. That's where I go to.
Oh my gosh, their sausage is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep, that's where we go.
Grass fed? No, probably not. But guess what? You know that the live animal got taken there and butchered, and now you are buying the meat. It didn't go through all these processes and be on a truck for 3,000 miles.
Seriously. Because I mean, that's the thing with our produce and stuff. When it's being shipped for a week, you just lost
all the
about
nutrients.
80% of the nutrients.
Yeah. And you lost the other 20% because they picked it before it was
Yeah.
ripe.
And then you lost whatever was left because you cooked it. So,
And you know what? It's not that hard to grow. What are some people could grow some herbs, maybe even lettuce, right?
oh,
Just-
I do like lemongrass. I have basil,
Can you grow that?
rosemary,
Can you grow that?
thyme.
like
Oh,
in
yeah.
the house though.
Yep.
Yeah, in a
You
little
sure can.
pot, right?
Yeah, just make sure it's by window because I
Yeah,
do need
They
light.
do need light, yeah.
But yeah, definitely.
I have my whole, you can't really see it because the lights on. I have my tower garden that I
Oh,
grow
yeah.
all my
See
stuff.
there in the bottom there. All that.
I grow lettuce and herbs and all kinds of things in
Ah.
there, so I can do that year round. So yeah, there's options. It's just a matter of if you want to find them.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Pretty much.
And again, we are here as resources for you. We've done a lot of things, experienced a lot of things. I can tell you like the best way to get the most for your buck. I'm very strategic
Frugal.
when it comes to,
Yep.
I like a good deal, and I like, my biggest thing is the value I'm receiving. Is it worth it for me?
Yeah.
And so I can definitely help you, kind of point you in the right direction, depending on what you're wanting. Anything from growing your own produce to essential oils and
Yep.
helping support the body that way, to vitamins. Yeah, lots of different things. So I am on Facebook as Joe Stutzman, JOSTUTZMAN. I'm on Instagram as well, but you'll find me there as True Bliss Solutions. TRUBLISSOLUTIONS. I know that's a mouthful.
Yep.
And Casey is on.
I am on Facebook. It's at Casey May, MAY. And then I'm May _ Boyle for my Instagram, and then the Awaken for my Telegram.
Oh yeah, thanks for bringing that up.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, reach out to us if you have any questions or would like more information on anything, and we'd be happy to chat with you and share what we know.
Yeah. Or if you have something you want to bring to the table,
Yeah.
most definitely, yeah, reach out to us, because we are all about community and we're all about sharing our knowledge, because there's going to be other people that are stronger in other areas than we are, and that can bring a different perspective, or bring something more. And yeah, that way we can start sharing this with more people, reach more people. We're regular people, we are ordinary people, and so this is pretty much our wheelhouse. Like, this is what we like to do. So
We love to help people. So
Yeah.
anytime we can improve someone else's life, we love it.
yeah, it is very fulfilling. It
It is.
really is. Being of service to other people. Yeah, it is very fulfilling to be able to do, especially when you know that they are following your advice and they're starting to see the fruition of that. Oh, yeah, that's my favorite. So yeah, so don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're
Yeah.
usually pretty quick with getting back to
We
you
are.
too. So
Yes, absolutely.
yeah.
All right, this has been The Other Side of the Coin. We will see you next episode.
Yep. We'll
Stay
see you
safe.
later. Bye.